What you put in is what you get out, family. There's no running around the real you. So the real question is I'm going to ask, because I got to ask, do you know who you are? Because if you did, you would know what's required to protect it. How is everybody doing? What's going on, family? How's your day going? That's right, I'm reaching out to each and every one of you. Today is the 2nd of May, 2017. And you know what? Your blessings are coming. And this is for somebody. Because, see, you just had a pivotal shift in your life. But before I go into that, let's go ahead and take these vitamins and supplements. See, what you saw was some omega-3s and some cat's claw and some myrrh gum and some beta carotene, as well as some zinc. Because the older you get, you must replenish what is in your temple. Can't buy that physical band-aid. You must invest in what you got. And I know that there are some people saying, well, Gerald, you saying that, but are you still smoking? Because that's kind of hypocritical, because when I look back at those 700 plus videos that you put out, it was puff, puff, pass. And you know what? That was true. Because I enjoy smoking. I actually did. It was very stimulating, but it was very destructive too. It's kind of like looking at stress. You can't look at stress, but you feel it. And depending on what the stress level was and how it was caused, sometimes the effects weren't evident, but they always seem to render at the intended time and moment. Family, that's not your story. Let me take this first. Give me a second. All right. So let's get to business. See, as we turn on channels, we see an illustration of what happiness is and what the motto of the good life is all about. Why is it always shrouded in deception? Why is it never about being authentic? Why is it always about a pay to play or a validation because I've got the shiny whip or the house on the hill, but no one takes the steps to say, well, you know what? You may have that house on the hill, but is there love inside that house? Is there a foundation that will support every beam, every structure, every tile, every shingle? Is it blessed? But see, when we talk about stuff like that, that's too real. Nobody wants to talk about the things that matter because they don't want to look at the person in the mirror looking back. But I'm here to tell you, family, no matter where you are, no matter where you are in your life, God got something better for you. But it will not be revealed until you make a conscious decision to have that conversation with him. I keep trying to tell y'all, that's the blueprint. He created you. You know that first breath that you took? That was the spiritual seal that ensured your legacy to be played out. Now, guess what? The kicker is, it's called free will. The right to choose. Should I go left? Should I go right? Should I go forward? Should I be grounded? But see, we get it twisted because we're too busy trying to get to the other side than take stock on what we're standing on, and then when we trip, slip, and bust our lip, we want to play the victim. But the victim never gets supported. Why are we overlooked at? Do you realize a broken person is more strong than a person that is whole? For some of y'all get it. For some of y'all gonna have to learn it. Because guess what? That broken person has an opportunity to go within themselves. They have an opportunity to be made new. They have an opportunity to deal finally what was making them vulnerable. You realize how many people walk around this planet that don't even know the definition of what intimacy is? They think intimacy is the physical act of sex, not the connection of spirit. Did you hear what I said? You have people that actually think it's the physical act, not the spiritual connection within. So if you don't have a connection with him, what makes you think you're going to have a connection with you? That's what keeping it real is all about. Did you catch that? But I'm going to tell you what you don't see. All those people that hide in the shadows. We know them as opportunists. They hoping that you stay on your stubbornness too. They hope that you hold on to that pride and ego because you're doing the work for them. That's why when the jig is up, when the truth comes out, they ain't there. When the validation comes and the chips fall where they have always been, they can't nor stand behind what they represent. You may even try to rationalize and try to be sympathetic and go to them and try to bridge the gap of understanding. And it's like talking in a foreign tongue now, isn't it? Who am I talking to? No, I didn't say the Jones Girls. Who do I run to? I know some of y'all know of them by Escape's version, but the Jones Girls did it first. When in actuality, you needed to have been running to yourself. That's why there's so many of our queens broken, because they don't have connections with their dads, but yet they want to call themselves being a strong woman. How can you be strong unless you have your father there to set the template for you? Maybe that's why there is a emotional civil war going on for our little boys to end up like little girls. Oh, we can't have a strong, upright little boy that loves God, because he may be the one that may change the dynamic of the world. Maybe that's the reason why we have so many feminists today, because they're doing this because they feel that there's no threat. And little Bradley, he's not going to do anything but cross his hands and shoulders and stick his lips out, because he has no any illustration of what a man does. Tolerance is one thing, family, but condoning is another. And you're wondering why they don't stick around, because there's no foundation there. But yet, we're too busy. We're worried about what the glam is. Oh no, I got to make sure that my teeth are pearly white and my hips are pow and everybody sees me. I remember when there was a time It wasn't about being seen, it was about being felt. See, I'm a Generation Xer, and we used to use the term, you feel me? But now, millennials, it's all about being seen, not being understood. How about being respected? Each one teach one is what he conveyed. Meanwhile, they are putting a systematic price tag on your perceptions because they know that as long as you watching, as long as you choose not to invest in you, it's just a matter of time before the term monkey see, monkey do will have an effect. So now you see all these people acting amok on the friendly skies. Everybody's got something to say and are so exuberant on what they gonna do and what they won't do, but let y'all fail to realize something. And I'm gonna pick my words very, very strategic because see, I also know social media. If you don't follow their course of what they want, they like to block you too. That's okay. I didn't come to YouTube to get paid. I came to YouTube to reach the intended person because their life is at that crossroads. See, social media can't stop that, just like these prayers. You can't stop that. But you know that pain you may be feeling, you can stop that when you acknowledge it exists. When you decide to take accountability of where the source is. Maybe this is the moment that you finally have the courage to take a step back and ground your feet and love yourself more. We spend so much time and effort on making sure that we show our teeth. See, back in the 70s and the 80s, we used to have this thing. We would hear our elders say, why you cooning? Why you shining? The term shining actually was a derivative of a brand of pomade that was used on men's hair. You know, just like you see a lot of men with curly, natural curly hair, and they have the pomade to bring the enhancement out of their hair. Well, there was a brand called Shinola. But they said, well, we'll cut it short and shine because every time we see them, we're referring to me. They always got your teeth out. And they were using that as a metaphor to the organ grinder. See, that's something you don't see. We don't see this. This was not something that was common in the last 40 plus years, but it was evident in the 40s, the 50s, and partially the 60s. Depending on where you were, if you were in a cosmopolitan area, there was that man, there was a gypsy. He had a little organ. And guess what he had? He had a little monkey. He had a little monkey on a leash. And that little monkey would do little things to the tune. Geographically, ain't no different than when you go to Bangladesh and you got the little sharper and he's got the pipe, and what has he got? He's got that cobra. Same thing. I'm there to manipulate your thought, manipulate your time. But the effect is found all over the world. You go to Russia, what do you got? You got them out there playing with them bears and them tigers. Same thing. They're going after your perception. They're going after your time. Why? The payout is your money. The point I'm trying to make is this. We are becoming a overindulged, ultra sensitive consumer community. And we are ransoming our self-respect for a price tag. We are putting value on something that has no value until you decide to possess it, instead of seeing what is priceless. And you know what's so sad about this, family? It's going to take about 30 to 40 years to correct everything that is transpired thus far, because we have a whole lot of non-believers out here. We have a whole lot of people under spiritual attack too. And you actually think, oh no, that's just a fluke thing, but you feel a certain way, don't you? You're out there burning that sage, ain't you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you getting to the point now that you feel a certain way because every time you come around that person, they make you feel a little drained these days, huh? Let me tell you something, family. You don't have to believe me, but demons do exist. Angels exist too. God is the Alpha and the Omega. And guess what? God gets tired. And why do you think generational curses exist? Why is it? Okay, I'll just shift it for you, because I know some of y'all all in your feelings when it comes to your spirituality. You think you don't have it. You think because it's not in your hand tangibly, it don't exist. But if that was the case, why you feel what you feel? Because you can't see your emotions, but you feel them, right? And what is your emotions? There are nothing but basically connections to your spirit. Let me break it down to you even more. What you think this is for? Your hair follicles are nothing but antenna for your discernment. Who am I talking to? Don't believe me? Remember when you would walk into an environment or something would happen or something before you knew what was going on? What would happen? You would feel it on your arms. You would feel it on your neck, because you were witnessing an spiritual influence, good or bad. But we romanticize the things we know little about. And that's what spiritual possession likes, because you have to have a willful position to accept it. That's why you can't be protected from it. But that's how the devil works. Because you got to understand something, family. The devil was the first creation. You do understand that, right? Don't let nobody fool you. Lucifer, Satan, he was made first by God. He was most perfect. So guess what? He was the number 2 man or being. So guess what? You can't outsmart him. But he can't influence you unless you embrace him. That's why he will always give you what you want, not what you need. Why are you going to sit up here and say, there's no good men out there, Gerald, but you gravitate to those that break your heart? Those who have a field day in your secret garden. Who am I talking to? Why are you getting mad at what they did when you opened the door for them? Don't run away. Claim it. Because until you decide to claim it, you can't change it. And that's what the devil wants. That's what that Jezebel spirit wants. Everything that you see going on in our society today is a derivative of the Jezebel spirit. She uses power by way of her manipulation of her beauty, by way of her sexuality, by way of her cunningness. Oh, she loves sugar daddies because she uses them up like a battery. But she already got a starting 5. And she uses that as a means to go up the ladder of social influence. But we live in a world of influence where money has priority, doesn't it? But it can't fix that pain in your heart now, can it? Hmm. You too busy talking about, well, Gerald, nobody won't love me, Gerald. You know why people won't love you? Because you won't love you. You keep running away thinking that if I get under someone else, I can help get over them. But guess what? You're drawn to what you lack. Why do you think twin flames are what they are? Soul ties. How about soulmates? These are the teachers and the illustrations that are the pinpoints of your life and legacy. If you stop and take note to what is being revealed. See, nobody can make you say no. Why are you thinking addictions are the way they are? I can't stop, Gerald. I got a sexual addiction. No, you have a lack of intimacy in your life. And you think that as long as you have someone that will unconditionally fill that void, you're good. Until they love themselves more. And then what do? You find someone to fill that void, but secretly in your mind, those scars are never healed. Secretly in your mind and in your heart, you wonder what they do. Secretly in your mind and in your spirit, your bitterness gains momentum because your heart is void. You are actually believing that everything that they said had validity because they refuse to love themselves too. So we are what we attract because it is each one teach one. So if your illustrator doesn't love them and you are following suit to what they are showing, birds of a feather. Maybe that's the reason why your elders said, well, if Johnny goes to a bridge and jumps off, are you going to jump off too? But if Johnny don't know where he's going, he don't know where he's going to land either. So who's at fault? Maybe the people that were put in the position to illustrate what should be from what should not. Who am I talking to? I don't know about y'all, but why is it, family, in the last 3 years, the streets are flooded with guns? There's so much emphasis. Every time you turn on the news, there's little Ray Ray getting scraped off the street, or little Shakina got caught with a stray bullet, or little Bradley, he's copping a plea because he thinks because he got a piece of steel in his hand, that's going to bolster up the respect level as a young man. Your greatest weapon is found here, family. While you're too busy worrying about trying to break down the movie Get Out, why don't you get in that beautiful mind of yours? That is the key that's going to unlock every spiritual door that you need, because it will prepare you for your life. But no one can make you do what you don't want to do. I know. You've got, look here, Queens. Let me tell you something. I know right now, for an indefinite period of time, the state of manhood is very tragic. But guess what? That reflection is two-sided. Because guess what? If you are our wildflowers, why are you allowing those who want to act like a weed to stand in your way. Because let's call it spade, Queen. You don't get dressed and buy your fashions for Larry. You do that for Sarah. Because your self-esteem is so low that you believe that if I don't join them, I'm the odd person out. But I'm going to tell you something. You are the exception of the rule. That's why you see Sarah, if she's lucky, and she's in her 30s, she's walking around looking like she's in her 60s because everybody done been on her. Everybody done messed up her mind. And she actually thinks that her only value is her backside. Her only value is why her breasts are so heavy because everybody done pulled on them. And she thinking that if I go spend my money to that surgeon, he gonna tighten it up and make everything all right. But guess what? Don't you realize that your body, that precious coating called DNA, it was made perfect. And it will protect itself, even though you might not want to. And that's why you've seen so many people now, they're getting diagnosed with lupus now. Why is that? Why? You're seeing people getting diagnosed with MS now. Why? You're hearing people now they're starting to run the commercials for AIDS now. Weren't doing that for a good 10 years. Now we're going to run them now. We're running them now. Why? Because the CDC ain't telling you the truth. You know why? Because the planet's overpopulated. And maybe that's the reason why, Queens, your physiology is starting to mutate. That's why a lot of you are sterile now. Because you're too busy listening to what the radio is saying. The radio is telling you, desecrate yourself. Don't respect it. But it's a contradiction because you're listening to what your elders told you. No, don't do that, Queen. Don't do that, sweetie. Leave your flower alone. Don't let nobody touch it. You heard that before. But the garbage man can get it now. But see, here's the kicker now. It used to be Jody. Now it's Joyce. God ain't in that. And you know what? If you look like me, your mate will be the opposite of you. But society wants you to be like Digital Underground and do what you like. Let me tell you something. God did not make a mistake. Even though we have thousands and thousands of versions of allegory, of interpretation of that body, of that Bible, of that doctrine, your heart knows it all. You know right from wrong. It's up to if you're going to listen. And depending on the decision, it may cost you your life. And they know that too. So they gotta have a spokesperson out there to convince you that it's okay to play, but fix your lip later on down the road when the physicians say, I'm sorry, you can't have children. You can always adopt. I mean, that's fine. But everybody wants their own. But see, they don't take into consideration of all the stuff that you were doing prior to that heartbreak that you had in that office. Where are your friends then? Where are those opportunities then? Where are all those sugar daddies then? Where are they? Ain't no different than the women out there that want to play Mr. Independent and say, well, you know what? It's my body. I have all the abortions I want. Well, you take them scar tissue with it too. Why do you think there's so many women being diagnosed with fibroids? You think that's coincidental? Fibroids ain't nothing but scar tissue because you ain't protecting that sacred temple. But then again, you got some people saying, well, Gerald, I don't care. I'm a woman. I choose to carry life. Yeah, you sustain it, but you don't make it. But you got a bunch of people in positions that want to convince you that you can do that. Even to the point they say, well, you don't need him. Just go on down to the sperm bank. Yeah, you go ahead and do that if you want to. Good luck with that. Because as long as you make decisions and God is not in front of it, you might as well go ahead and write a little note, date it, and put it away. So when the disappointment comes, you can say that was free will. I own that. Just make sure that the people that are involved, make sure that they're there too, but because they ain't. They're going to leave you high and dry. I ain't got to tell you that. Where the people that said they're going to be there with you, be in your life last year? How about 6 months ago? Where are they at? But I know right now, you know deep down inside, the ones that really would have been there, but because of choices you made, your pride got you feeling a certain kind of way because they were illustrations of what love looked like. Just know they pray for you still. But we all reap what we sow. In the intended mind and intended time and moment. Let me make this clear. Logistics has nothing to do with divine intervention. Do you realize, even though I don't want to speak this, but I got to, the devil will set certain things out to get you to act a certain way. But God has a final authority on that. But because you have free will, you seal that. So right now you might be thinking that your life is terrible. Life is at a plateau. Well, that's not true. Because remember that last setback you went through? How about that last abusive relationship you was in that you didn't want to tell nobody about? And you tried to put that face on, hoping no one would find out about it. Yeah, that's why your heart feeling. That's why you're feeling what I'm feeling right now. Because I'm giving you your validation because your prayers are heard. Even the people that you don't get to hear from, the people that are not in your life, they still pray for you. They still want the best for you. And even in many cases, they still love you. But you must love yourself. Place God first in everything you do and watch him change your life. So you can't buy blessings. That's why God said it. Those who are first will be made last, and those who are last will be made first. It's a reason. Why? Because if you're coming through the door with your pride and your ego on your back, you're going to go back the way you went. It's not going to work out. Until you put God first in your life, he can't protect you from the things you don't know. How about the things you don't see? How about the people that are plotting to have access to your life right now? You might have been working on something. You're dedicated to seeing this through. And that person closest to you just hoping that it falls short. You know why they're doing that? First of all, they don't want you to grow. Because if you grow, that means you're gonna leave them alone. And they already figured that out. Just think about some of the conversations you've had. And some of the answers they gave you, like, why would you say that to me? Because that's what they feel. But they're only there because they're nothing but a representation. Ready for this? Your friendships are nothing but a physical manifestation of your state of mind. Otherwise, why would they be there? So if they don't have a relationship with God, guess what? You don't either. I'll do one better. Somebody gonna get mad. Hey, King, why you think you're mad at your girlfriend's girlfriend? You don't like her position. She don't like you. You don't like how she act? Well, guess what? She ain't nothing but a mirror reflection of your girlfriend. And she's the keeper of the truth. And they both playing a game on you. And this is the same thing with guys, Queen. You know his stick man is out the park. He's out, he don't care. Guess what? He wouldn't be there unless your man shared the same sentiment too. Otherwise, why would he be there? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if he's a womanizer, guess what? Oh, he might not be doing it right now, but he will be. So choose your poison. As long as you choose to walk in ego and denial, your pain will continue to grow. Why? Because pain does not measure time. It sustains it. Why? It's like history. God reveals everything to you in the intended time and moment. You know why he does that? Because he loves you. And history always repeats itself. Why? Because God is asking you through discernment. Did you get the message yet? Do you understand? Do you truly understand what you're seeing? It's to validate your free will. Or if you'll have the courage to do something about it. But meanwhile, we live in a world where we want to disturb airplanes and stuff. You see, they put another video out there of two passengers going to blows. Let me tell you something, family. And I'm gonna bring this home because I work in aviation. And let me tell you something so that people understand this. Every time there is a miscommunication, a delay, a mispitched baggage, or a late passenger, that affects every person on that plane. So let's look at it from a different perspective. Whenever there's a skirmish that goes on an aircraft, everything is first of all reported. Now, granted, there are airfield marshals on those planes, but they can't reveal who they are until the plane is airborne. So when that fight broke out, the pilot should have stopped on that ramp, contacted the tower, and the police should have come and arrested both of those passengers off the plane. And you're saying, well, why do that? Because that's the byproduct of September 11th, family. When the FAA, which is a government agency, had to revamp how they look at passenger safety. They ain't got time for people nutting up in the aisleways. They ain't got time for that guy that waits to the last minute to put their stuff up in the overhead compartment. They ain't got time for you to not have your kids secured where they need to be. They don't have time for that. So what's going to happen is, don't be surprised the FAA comes down with more restrictions that's going to affect every passenger. And I'm going to tell you how they're going to do it. They're going to raise those airfares up. You know what happens when they raise the airfares? It actually it filters on who you're going to fly with, because there are some passengers that pick their flights on what's cost effective. You don't hear about skirmishes on the other international flights. You don't hear them hearing about flights, you paying $800 for a ticket. You don't hear that, because they know that crap costs too damn much. They understand why. If I'm spending that damn money, think of it this way. We ain't even talking first class. We're talking common flights, not even coach. But guess what? Every airline has insurance, but every airline has a mandate they must follow. And if you don't, guess what? You lose your contract to fly. That means millions of dollars. They're not going to afford knuckleheads messing up big money. They're not going to do that. But let's look at it not about money. They're not going to risk your safety, because your focus should be, I want to sit down in my seat, buckle up, and get to where I need to be at, and let them fly. That's your focus, because let's call it spade a spade. There are still people in 2017 that are terrified to fly. There are still people in 2017 that are traumatized at what occurred on September 11th. That was 6 years ago, family. So we don't have time for a female and her emotions causing a scene, or a guy acting like he on his hormones, and you didn't pay your top dollar to get to your loved ones. Ain't nobody got time for that. And keep this in mind too. Next time you fly, there's domestic terrorism still exists. You do know that, right? And every time there's a delay, there's somebody watching. Just keep in mind, when you get on that plane, who's looking out for your safety? Is it the loudmouth female not complying to federal standards? Because that is a federal standard. That's right. So if they really wanted to get funky with it, you're playing with federal charges. Yeah, that's why it's part of the FAA. First F is what? Federal. That means federal time. But see, we don't care about that. But we quick to pull our camera and show our teeth, then comply. If you don't want to fly, don't fly. Go rent yourself a car. Get on the bus. Maybe Greyhound can make some money. Amtrak. But what they're going to end up doing, they're going to jack your prices up. And get this, we ain't even near the summer yet. Summer ain't even in effect. You know, everything goes up. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Don't be surprised. You hear more foolishness, and it's always people set out to make you look bad. Trust and believe. Just like that lady. That dude, that agent, he could have tweaked that a little bit, but that lady was late. You see it all the time. You don't get your way, females always want to cry. No. Show up on time next time. They should have bumped her off the flight. Should have never fly. And that's what's going to happen. They're going to make it so that you comply. Okay, you don't want to, okay, here we go. Then now they're going to argue with you. They're going to turn around. They're going to void your ticket. They're going to give you your refund. And you go on about, and good luck trying to fly away. You won't be flying. And they're going to put yourself on, they're going to put your name in the database so that next time you want to fly on that airline, you ain't going to be able to fly. Yeah. There's such thing as a domestic no-fly list for passengers that nut up. So think about it. You want to run your damn mouth? You want to act an ass? Don't be surprised to come in there with some cuffs. And that whole situation about the first part, technically, when they turned around and said, oh, I'm not going to give up my seat. If that agent had came out and said, look here, you got to go. They shouldn't have pulled on him. But right because of the fact that he said, you ain't doing, guess what? You bought a ticket, didn't you? Them tickets can be refunded. And watch, he going to find out too. He ain't going to get paid like you think he's going to get paid either. He going to get a little bit, but he ain't going to get broke off like people y'all think. You'll see. Trust when I tell you that. So, right now, you got a bunch of opportunists trying to restructure history and what it is to be a man and a woman on this planet. And right now, you got a lot of non-believers, a lot of atheists out here. And yeah, you got a lot of Satanists out there right now think they're winning, but guess what? They're going to find out the hard way. And I always bad on them because, like I said, God get tired. What you reap, what you sow. Hey, it's your life. Come on now. So anyway, we're going to have a hot summer, family. I know this. I hope that wherever you are, you have peace of mind. And I mean that. How are you sleeping? If you're picking up the bottle just to get a night's sleep, guess what? The bottle ain't going to save you. It's the environment that's holding you back. How about the people that's in it? Maybe now you'll have the courage to have that conversation with God and say, hey, look at it. And maybe that's all he's waiting for. Because he's going to constantly show you what you don't need just to see if you will declare it for yourself. You can't have it both ways. Well, I want to know the truth. And he shows you the truth, but you still have the Stockholm syndrome. Well, yeah, he give me what he wants, but I'm complaining. That's what the devil do. That's what the Jezebel spirit does. And you know what the end result is? A painful death and a life unclaimed. Why? Because you refuse to see the value in what it was. How many times do you think that he's going to reset the clock in your life? God's praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. Millennials, you say you're so smart, right? I keep trying to convey you. If you're smart, you'll listen. I was like that at one time. But you don't finally understand who you are until you are blessed to see the age of 35. There's a reason behind that. But as much technology and media, because right now they're flooding your senses. It's about gluttony right now. And you don't, right now you think you're benefiting, but you're actually being depleted. And if you'd realized what was going on, you would also realize that your generation is the guinea pigs for the next 30 years. Because if you took stock, you would notice that your generation is feeling the same effects of those that were in the 60s. Look at the commonalities. You'll look at the trends. You will see the same polarities on both. And guess what happened? It took them 30 years to admit it. And that's why you have so many people right now walking around with dementia, Alzheimer's, and a lot of other neurological ailments. Why? It's about destroying the mind. You turn that mind into a pickle, you can't protect it. Where the mind goes, the body flows. So if your mind's not healthy, what you think your body's going to do? And you thought all that was required is this. Well, that's all right, Drew. As long as I can get it in, I'm all good. Yeah. When you going to realize that God's something better for you? You gotta be strong in a minute. Maybe I got this feeling. I'm not gonna make light of it. I just will say this: how long you gonna ride? How long you gonna be driving your car to bear your soul? That's the only place. What I'm saying is, there are actually people that will not embrace their emotions. Why are you crying in your car? You're saying I'm embarrassed to show my emotions. Don't you realize as long as you don't embrace your emotions, you're not alive? That's what Walking Dead is all about. Be blessed.